Hi everyone, welcome to our masterclass, The Small Business Guide to Copywriting That Sells. I'm Cess Busby and I'm the editor of Kochie's Business Builders, and I'm so happy to have you joining me here today. But before we dive into the magical world of copywriting, let's take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather here today. Now we're at the International Towers in Barangaroo, Sydney, so that means we're paying our respects to the Gadigal people of the Aurora Nation. And I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. And also welcome any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people that are joining us today. So thank you and welcome. Now, my co-host today is the lovely, lovely Kate Toon. Now, Kate is an award-winning copywriter. She's an absolute powerhouse. She's behind the Copywriting School. She also is the founder of Australia's one and only copywriting convention, CopyCon. She's a best-selling author. She's an entrepreneur. She's a fantastic person. She's also got a new book coming out. It's called 6 Figures in School Hours, which I think you should all read, because I've had a cheeky little sneak peek at some of the chapters, and I can say it has Kate's fantastic humour, but is chock full of really actionable advice. So apart from what she's here to talk to us about today, I suggest you go and grab a copy of that book when it comes out, which is very, very soon. Now, let's get on to the nitty-gritty of what we're chatting about, which is copywriting that sells. Now, Kate, where did your copywriting adventure begin?
Well, I used to work at an agency in Sydney called Ogilvy. It was called Singleton Ogilvy back then, because John Singleton was in charge. Yeah. So I started life as a producer, but then I moved into copywriting, working on big brands like American Express, ING, Telstra, Qantas. And then I went over to the UK and was lead copywriter for Microsoft for a little while. I went back to being a producer, but when I started my own business in 2009, that's when I stepped out as a freelance copywriter. So yeah, quite a while now.
That's decades of experience we're talking about there. So what are some common copywriting mistakes that you see when it comes to small business owners and they're trying to write their own copy?
I think that we tend to write very differently to how we speak. So as soon as we get a blank page in front of us, we sort of freeze up and we start writing really formally. And I think the key to really great copy is to write in a conversational way, and to really inject the humanity. Obviously, everyone's raving about AI at the moment, all the different tools that we can use. Yeah. They do a pretty good job, but the one thing they're lacking is that human touch. You can inject it a little bit, but yeah, I think the lack of humanity and the over formalness is the biggest mistake I see people making.
Even if you please type in a friendly manner.
Yes, yeah. I saw one the other day and it was like, write in an Australian tone of voice, and it was like, "G'day, mate." It was, oh God, yeah. So the robots aren't quite there yet.
Yeah. So what makes a good piece of copy in your opinion?
I think, especially in what we're talking about today, you have to give people a direction. You have to tell a story. You have to tell them, the facts and the information, and then you have to bring it all together with an ask. It has to end with what we call in copywriting a call to action. Too many pieces of copy just kind of trail off. And you're like, oh, okay, that was great. What now? You need to tell people what to do. So I think that can really help make a copy great.
Because otherwise, how is it going to convert if you're not giving some kind of direction to the copy?
Yeah, and not every piece of copy needs to be a sell. It doesn't need to convert in the traditional sense, but you still need to give somebody the next step, whether it's read another post, sign up to the newsletter, check out our Instagram, just giving someone, direction on what to do next.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned storytelling as well, because I think that's at the heart of any great piece of writing.
Yeah. I mean, we love stories as humans. We love stories from around the fire back in the old days to now. We want to see, the reason we like stories is because we want to see ourselves in that story. You were here, this happened, and now you're here. And ideally the story's a little bit more complex than that. It has a few ups and downs, but that kind of taking someone on the adventure builds that empathy and builds that trust and says, I was where you were and you can be where I am now.
Yeah. Fantastic. Look, I would like to dive straight in, and I know that you've got a fantastic presentation for us.
I do. I've got a lot of slides to get through. I also have a bad cold, so apologies if halfway through I sneeze. Feel free to interrupt me with any questions as we go, but shall I just get stuck in?
Yeah, it would be great. Get started. Thank you.
All right, so today we're talking about conversion copywriting tactics, how to sell without being sleazy. And why do I put the sleazy thing in there? I guess because no one wants to be this guy, the cheesy car salesman. We don't want to feel that we're persuading people to buy things that they don't want. We don't want to feel dodgy. We don't want to feel like we're twisting people's arms. But I've got a huge secret to share with you today, something that you might not realize, and it's that people like buying stuff. The truth is that when we're writing sales copy, we are rarely trying to persuade someone who doesn't want to buy. What we're trying to do instead is give someone who does want to buy reasons, justifications, and affirmation that the buying choice they're about to make is a good one. One little analogy I like to use here is, imagine you want to buy something and you have to persuade your partner that this buying purchase is a good idea. What we're doing as copywriters is giving the purchaser that information, that data that they can take back and say, hey, look, I was going to buy this thing and I've looked and it's got this and got this. We're giving them data to make a good purchase decision. We're not trying to twist their arm. And the truth is, if you get your conversion copywriting working well, you can have the dream, right? You can make money while you sleep. Your product descriptions, your sales pages, your social media is persuading people even when you're not there. And the other thing it's doing is reducing the horror of having to make those cold calls and do sales calls live. Instead, people are persuaded from your website or from your social media or emails.
Okay, can I just ask, how do you make sure then that that copy does resonate with your target?
Oh, we're going to dig into that a bit more.
Yeah.
You have to really understand your audience, and that's the first step, really. So I'll come to that. We're going to get to that. I'm going to dig into that in a deep way.
Excellent.
One of the things that people object to when I talk about sales copy is they're like, isn't selling like a bit American? We've all seen those infomercials, you know, where they say the same thing again and again. You're trying to sell someone this vacuum. I mean, yeah, I think Americans have a sales environment, and it's sometimes some of the tactics that they use don't quite fit with the European or Australian mentality. We don't like that pushy sell, and you don't need to be a pushy seller to get the sale. But the thing is, you do have to ask for the sale. Yeah, this is good old Zig Ziglar. You have to drag him out in every presentation. We miss 100% of the sales we don't ask for. Too many small business owners are using social media in the way that they think they should, providing tips and thought leadership and memes and fun content. But at the end of the day, marketing is about selling. At some point or other, we have to say, let's cut the memes. Here's actually what we're selling. Here's our offer. Would you like to buy something? So we have to ask for the sale. So I already had a little introduction there. I run 3 different businesses, and I thought when I moved into this whole passive income thing with courses, memberships and resources, that I wouldn't have any clients. It would be amazing, no more clients. But what I've done is exchange my clients for hundreds and hundreds of customers. So I spend a lot of time trying to sell stuff, and that's the information I want to pass on with you today. And I've done quite a good job of it. Here is the sales page for my big offer, the Recipe for SEO Success course, which is a 7-week SEO course that I sell. It's not cheap. And I have sold this single page, this one sales page has made my business over $3 million. And I've probably had in that whole time, in the whole 5 years, this course has been live, maybe 3 or 4 actual calls with clients. I don't need to have the call with the clients because everything's on the page. And I've got to the point where I can just lie in a bath full of money and never have to write anything ever again. But I want to pass on some of these tactics today. So let's really narrow down what is conversion copy. Conversion copy narrows the focus to a single goal. Yeah? Instead of trying to get across lots of different messages, you're just trying to get one thing across, and that is to get people to act. A sales page, which is what we're going to talk about today, is not a home page. A home page has a different job to do. It has to introduce your brand and what your full suite of offerings. So it's not a home page. It's not a landing page. A landing page is usually quite short and sweet. Maybe all you're trying to do is get someone's email address. It's not going to be handing over credit card details. It's also not a product page. So if you have an e-commerce store, the way that you sell individual products is going to be slightly different. A sales page helps you to sell things like courses, memberships, events, services, I'm going to come back to that one, and coaching. So you might think, well, I don't have sales pages. I'm an accountant. I'm a landscape gardener. Yes, you do, because you have services pages on your sites where you say, hey, I'm an accountant and we help small businesses with end-of-year tax. That page is a sales page. It needs all the sales elements that you would have if you were trying to sell a $5,000 course. So that's what a sales page is. And the question I get asked more than anything is, how long should it be? Because I think many of us are online and we see these sales pages that just scroll and scroll and scroll, and you're like, oh my God, just tell me how much it costs. The truth is, there is no magic number to how long it should be. But generally, the bigger the ask, the longer the page. The bigger the price, the more persuasion, the more facts, the more data you need to give to persuade someone to make that purchase. You know, if you're selling a $17 template or a $70,000 car, those pages are going to be slightly longer, but not always. If you haven't got your target audience right, it can be as hard to sell a $17 template as a $70,000 car. So it's difficult. There's no great answer there. But the truth is that longer sales pages allow you to inject more SEO power, more Google love, more keywords. They allow you to have more space to convince and convert, overcome more objections. The problems with them are that they can be information overload and you get that endless scroll feeling. But I have some ways to overcome that. So before I dig into how to write a sales page, literally, do we have any questions that we want to ask now? Is everyone good?
No, there are questions.
Oh, okay, great. We'll do a few questions before we dig in.
Alrighty. There was one about what strategies can you employ to create a personalised experience for your customers?
I think we'll dig into that a little bit when we talk about target audience. You really do have to know your customers well. So before you're writing a sales page, you should try and have as many conversations with customers as possible. And I don't mean, broad, crappy surveys. I mean actually getting on the phone and saying to them, what are your problems? What are your objections? What would stop you from buying? Because that question asker has raised a very good point. It needs to be personal. The sales page needs to feel like it's talking to me. Like, oh my God, how do you know all these things I'm worried about? Like, you want to get that nodding factor, like, oh yeah. And you can't do that unless you really understand your customers well. So we'll dig into some tactics for that.
One more, this is from Rick, where do we find out the best keywords to use for our industry? You were just talking about SEO and keywords. Yeah,
so often people think that sales and SEO are unrelated, that they can't be combined, and it's really, really untrue. These days, search engines are very sophisticated, so it's much less a case of picking out little keywords to shove here and there. It's more about providing focus in the page. So if you know your customers well, you know their objections well, you're going to naturally use phrases and terminology that they are using in the search engines. We know now that people don't really just type in staccato words, they ask questions of the search engines. How can I? When can I? Where can I? But if we're writing a sales page, we really are looking at part of this Google algorithm that copes with conversion intent. Yes, we have information intent, I want to know something, and conversion intent, I want to buy something. So when we're thinking about that kind of intent, what words would you type into a search engine if you wanted to buy something? It's going to be things like affordable, buy, online, inexpensive. Say I'm buying an SEO course, you might type, affordable SEO course Australia, not just SEO course. Because you're trying to narrow that down. Cheap SEO course. You might put that in too. Your mind won't come up. So yeah, I think it's about, again, understanding the kinds of things people are typing in. In terms of what tools you can use, there are hundreds of keyword tools. SEMrush is probably the market leader, and there's other ones like Keywords by Mangles, lots of tools. I have a page on my website with all the keyword tools that I recommend, so you can go and check that out.
One more.
Okay.
You're gonna get on. We're going to run out of time. Amanda asks, what would a sales page look like with an e-commerce shop since there are so many products?
So with an e-commerce shop, you're going to have your category page, which is going to have a little bit of copy and then all the different products on it. Then you're going to have your individual products page. We're not talking about that today. I do have a template in the Recipe for SEO Success shop that shows you how to write those. It's very different. You're writing a short description of the product, and then you're going to cover off things like materials, washing instructions. It's very different. This is more the top level page for something like a service, a course, and a membership. But some of the tactics are the same. So I'll call those out as I go through. Yeah. All right, how to write a sales page. We're going to start with an acronym. All marketers love acronyms, and I think I made this one up. This is PEPA. PEPA. So when we're writing our sales page, it can feel overwhelming, right? It's a big old page, and it's like, oh, So I like to break it down into 4 chunks, and that's my PEPA. So first we're going to solve the problem, then we're going to explain the product. After that, we're going to provide proof the product works, and finally we're going to have action to purchase the product. So those are our 4 chunks, and I'll take you through them one by one. Now I've got this lovely little sexy wireframe here which shows how you construct a sales page, and really it's not impenetrable. You break it down by chunks. Remember, everybody's only viewing it chunk by chunk on their mobile or their desktop, so you can break it down into chunks too. And if you look here, we've got, you know, the top of the page, which has got our video and our copy explaining the problem. What problem are you solving? After that, we explain the product, what's included, what does it have, who's it for. After that, we move into proof, testimonials, logos, videos, and then finally, we move into action to purchase the product, the pricing, maybe some FAQs, just to overcome those final objections, maybe some guarantees, and then pricing again. So, you know, I think we're going to give everyone the slides from this presentation so they can look through afterwards.
Yeah, we certainly can.
Yeah. So you can have a little look at that wireframe in a bit more detail. So this is really obvious, but the first part of writing a sales page is to work out what you're selling. And that sounds really dumb. Of course, you should know what you're selling, but sometimes the way you perceive your product is not the way other people perceive your product. So it's really important to think about a name for your product. Oh, it's not changing. Hang on one sec. There we go. When you're coming up, it might be too late. You might have already come up with your name, but if you haven't, really take some time to think about naming your product. Make sure the name of it is relevant, available, and memorable. So you just mentioned my new book. Let's just mention it again. 6 Figures in School Hours. When I came up with that title, I spent a lot of time Googling. I probably Googled 200 titles before I chose that one, because I wanted virgin territory. I wanted something that no one had ever called something that before. And I found something. So available was really, really important. That I wasn't going to be competing with other brands. Relevant. It makes sense. Like, you don't need to, it's not called something like Ooga Baloo, and you're like, well, what is Ooga Baloo? You know, you have to work it out. IKEA, Lego, they did a good job. We know what they mean now, but, you know, ostensibly we don't know what they mean, right? But they are memorable. So getting that RAM, the relevant, available, and memorable, is really, really hard. If you haven't named your product, spend some time Googling it before you do. I've come up with lots of sub-brands, fake brands, you know, so the Recipe for SEO Success, the Digital Marketing Collective, the 6 Figures in School Hours. I made those up. Rather than going after like SEO boot camp, which would have been taken a million times, I tried to create a brand that was unique to me so that when someone's searching for it, only I come up. Who are we selling to? This is the audience bit that we've been waiting for. So often when marketeers are doing avatars for their clients, they'll be like, oh, this is Bob. Bob is 47. He lives with Sue. He drives a Volvo. This kind of really awkward demographic-based avatar that tells us nothing about Bob. So I don't like doing that. I like to use the BDF method. So another acronym. I love acronyms. The BDF method stands for preconceived beliefs, deepest desires, and darkest fears. So I'm going to play a little game here now. You imagine you are looking for a divorce lawyer. Not that we are, but there we go. Just put that one out there. Lawyers have reactions, okay? So you might have a preconceived belief about working with a lawyer. What might be one of your preconceived beliefs?
Oh, that they're quite uptight.
Uptight, yeah. Another one is often expensive. You know, I'm worried about it's going to be expensive, okay? And your deepest desire usually is that this is going to go really swiftly and really painlessly, yeah? Your darkest fear is the opposite. It's going to be long, it's going to be drawn out, they're going to talk to you in legalese, you're going to get bills on bills on bills, it's going to cost a fortune, it's going to be stressful. So that gives us a much better insight into what kinds of things people are searching for than just being a divorce lawyer. Because suddenly we're not searching for a divorce lawyer, we're searching for an affordable divorce lawyer, an easygoing divorce lawyer, a friendly, affordable, easy, jargon-free lawyer, you know, a no-win, no-fee lawyer. Changes the way we search. So if we can get those insights, it really helps. And what I like to do, another acronym bingo. You get to have a drink every time I use an acronym. I like to use the Clive Google factor, right? So this is Clive. If we looked at it demographically, he's 72, he lives with Maureen, he has a sausage dog called Barbara. But what we really want to do is think, what is Clive Googling at 3 a.m. in the morning? He's woken up, he's not sleeping, he's got onto
I hope
Google.
it's not porn.
Maybe maybe he's Googling, what is this rash in my groin? I don't know. But if we can be there for Clive in his darkest hour, then when he wakes up the next day and he's ready to make a purchase decision, he already knows, likes and trusts us. We had a great blog post about groin rashes, and then when he's looking for groin rash cream, who's he going to come to? We've already built that trust. So try and go beyond standard demographics into insights, into the 3 a.m. searches, and that's where you find the gold. We also need to understand awareness. Where is our customer on their journey with us? Are they top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, right? Are they aware of our brand, or they've never heard of us? They've just stumbled across us on Instagram, okay? Very unlikely you're gonna see one meme on Instagram, go to a sales page and buy. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. You're probably going to have to go through some kind of flow, sign up to a newsletter, sign up to a lead magnet. Then you're going to be middle of funnel. You have some interaction with the brand. Maybe you make a small purchase first to build that trust before you make the big purchase, and then you become bottom of funnel. The other thing is to be aware of where they are in their journey with their problem, okay? So if they're problem aware, you need to reiterate the problem to them. So if they're solution aware, so again, I'll use my SEO course as an example. Why can't I find my site on Google? Those people are problem aware. So you could give them content that helps them work out that really it's SEO, that's your problem. Once they realize SEO is a thing, they're now solution aware, and they're now maybe looking for SEO courses. Well, then you need to provide them with proof that your course is the best course. Once they're aware of your course, your product, then you need to provide them a push to sign up, which is why evergreen courses and things don't work as well as things that have some kind of urgency, you know? And then if they're really aware, they like your brand, they know the product, they are aware of the push, then it's going to be about price. And you know, sometimes there's no way to overcome that. Price and timing. I've had people on my list for 2 or 3 years getting the emails again and again, and all they needed was the right combination of it's the right time and I have the money. Yeah? So that it's really important to understand where people are on the journey. Then we really need to get good at crafting our USP, our unique selling proposition. And I've got a little template to help you here. A USP is how you stand out. It's your point of difference. So what can you make that's a specific claim about your product or service? What promise can you make? What's unique about you? Is it valuable and is it believable? Right? So I could say my SEO course is the best course in the world, but that wouldn't be believable. I could say, however, more specificity, that I've had, 1,300 people take it and they've had these results. I could say that the point of difference is you get coaching with the course and I'm there to help you. So it has to be believable, it has to be valuable to your audience. So here's a little example of how you can structure a USP. So we might use an accountant as an example. We provide accounting services for small business owners so they can manage their tax time without stress and, fear. That's pretty generic, but it sums up what you do. And you'll be amazed how few businesses have anywhere on their site that sentence. Who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and why you do it better than anybody else. You'd be amazed.
Really?
Yeah. Most homepages is a big picture of someone with their hands on a keyboard, straight into services. There's nothing to say, why should I choose you over them? E-commerce store, why should I buy my product from you when I can buy it at Kmart? Give me a reason. Small accounting firm, why would I work with you rather than this big fat accounting firm?
So does that go back to that human element and the storytelling?
It does. And also the fact that generally, I think most people don't want to buy from big corporations. We all get that we'd rather reward a small business owner, but you need to reassure me that you can offer me the same level of service or a better level of service, because we get that intimate relationship that the big corporate can't do. So yeah, humanizing the brand, point of difference. So here's a USP for my business. I say, we provide enjoyable expert SEO courses for small business and e-commerce stores, really defining my audience. So business owners can do their own SEO without spending a fortune on expensive SEO consultants. That's the insight, because most people have been burnt by an SEO consultant or they've wasted a lot of money. So I've really honed in on the pain point there. Pain points are super important. Now, all copywriters cheat. I'm just going to say that right now. We all use formulas, which makes life much easier. And I'm going to give you some of the formulas that we use as copywriters. So the main formula that I use on everything. And
is there an acronym coming?
There is an acronym. Okay. We should have had some vodka. You can have a little nip. Problem, agitate, solution, PAS. This is classic. And once you see it, you start to recognize it everywhere. So you frame the problem to the user, then you agitate it, then you give the solution. So mine might be something like, can't get found on Google, not getting any traffic to your site, no sales. And then you agitate that. With no sales, your business is going to fail. You're going to end up living in a bin. You can take it as far as you want. You don't want to be too brutal. Solution, I can help you. I can help you get found on Google, deliver more traffic, and make more sales. Yeah, so problem, agitate, solution. How much you want to agitate is up to you. Don't go too dark. So for example, here's something from my membership. Are you struggling with all things digital marketing? Do you find it hard to work out how to drive more sales? Are you wading through lots of dodgy digital marketing advice? I can help. Yeah, so it's problem, and then here I am, your savior and your solution. So PAS is a really useful way to frame sales copy, whether it's on a product page, service page, whatever, social media. The next thing you need to do is really grab that attention from the user, right? You get them to stop scrolling, make them go, oh, that's for me. I was talking earlier about working at an ad agency, and I used to work at Ogilvy, and David Ogilvy said, on average, 5 times as many people read the headline as the body copy. Once you've written the headline, you've spent 80 cents out of your dollar. And that is borne out. 80% of people will read the headline, 20% of people will keep reading. So your headline needs to have real impact. And the best way to do that is to address the problem head on. So a classic example that one of my copywriting friends uses is itchy feet. Okay, so you're walking past a chemist and you see a big post and it says, do you have itchy feet? Now, if you don't have itchy feet, you're going to keep on walking. But if you do have itchy feet, if that is tailored to you, if that is your problem, you're going to go stop and go, yeah, I do. And then it might say, oh, itchy feet, they're really embarrassing. You're always scratching. You have to change your socks 3 times a day. Our new itchy foot cream can take all of that away. No more embarrassing, sock changes in the toilets after a board meeting. You're going to have beautiful, clean feet that everyone is going to want to kiss and love. I'm getting carried away. But do you see what I mean? That attention just stops you in your tracks. What is the problem? Sing that out on your sales page and then answer that problem. And you can do this in multiple ways. One of the ways is FOMO. We all know that as humans, we actually respond more to deprivation than we do from getting stuff, right? So generate more leads might sound like a really great headline. I want more leads. But what's even more enticing is stop losing leads to the competition. Yeah, that makes you go, oh God. Now we don't want to play too much on FOMO. That's the kind of sales stuff that feels a bit icky, but it can work. If you use it in moderation, it can be quite powerful. Now when I'm writing headlines, I like to think of Batman and Robin. So you have the big flashy headline that comes in and says, do you have itchy feet? Bam. And then Robin comes in and says, our soothing foot cream will take that problem away. So you have an impact headline and then a clarity headline, a creative headline and then a clear headline. So work those out together. Once you've written your headline, then you start to flesh out the content. You've solved the problem, you've framed the problem, and now we're going to talk about what's included. What are you getting? And a big problem that a lot of people have is they focus always on the features. You get a 1-hour call. You get your tax done by the date. Those are the boring, literal features of what you sell. What you want to talk about is the benefits. You get a 1-hour call so you can have all your questions answered. So you leave with no problems at all. You're completely clear. You get your tax done in time so you have no stress about getting calls from the tax office. So move from features into benefits and then really play up the advantage. I don't really want to get my tax return done. That's not what I'm buying here. What I'm buying is a feeling of relief, a feeling of stress, and time back with my family that I don't now have to spend doing my tax return. That's what I'm really buying. That's the advantage. That's what you're really selling. So stop trying to sell the literal thing and start trying to sell the bigger picture. So I've got a little example here to make it easier to understand. This is a coat hanger. Okay, so the product name is Woody Flaps. It's a foldable wooden clothes hanger. Yeah, it's exciting, right? If you were to focus purely on the features, you'd say it's made of wood, it weighs 100 grams, and it folds in half. Yeah? And that's the kind of level of copy I see on a lot of sites.
Would you say it with that tone?
I would. I'd say it in a northern accent as well. I've gone northern. But if you move into benefits, you could say it's made of wood, which means it's long lasting. It's also biodegradable. It's environmentally friendly. Those are some benefits. It weighs 100 grams. Well, what's better to say? There is a lightweight. It's going to not weigh down your suitcase. You're going to be able to take it on as carry-on. It folds. Well, that means it's easy to pack. Okay, so that takes the literal into a benefit. But if we take that even further into advantages, long lasting means, you'll never have to buy another one. Okay, so it's a great purchase. You'll never turn up with creased clothes again and you can look hot in meetings, right? You won't have to wait for reception to bring up an iron to your hotel room because you've got enough hangers. It will make travel less stressful. Okay, so that's what we're really selling. We're not selling a hanger. We're selling the fact that you can turn up to a meeting and look schmick. So we need to move into that. You can use statistics to back up your sales. 9 out of 10 travelers love this hanger. It's powerful. People believe statistics. Also specificity. I can never say that word. Specificity. Instead of saying, we've sold loads of these hangers, it's better to be specific. We've sold 8,942 of these hangers. That's way more believable than loads. It's also quantifiable and people believe specifics. So on my course, I don't say we've got loads of worksheets. I'll say we've got 14 worksheets in the first 2 modules. It's exact, it's clear, you know what you're getting. Now, to a point I think we talked about this right at the beginning. I'm losing track of reality. Telling stories.
Yes.
Okay? People want to, bullet points, stats, logos, they're all very good, but they don't get the heart beating, they don't draw out any emotion. And making a purchase is an emotional experience. You're giving away your hard-earned cash. So you have to hook people in. One of the best ways to do that is to tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And usually we go with this kind of hero's journey. I was here, I did this, now I'm here. We see this on LinkedIn all the time. I was living in a bin, I had no money, then I did this amazing thing, and now I'm lying on a Lamborghini. Yeah? So we don't want to be cheesy, we want to be believable, but having a story on your sales page or services page that explains why you are the right person to be selling this thing. I'm an accountant, I've worked with hundreds of businesses, this has happened, and here I am, ready to help you. So telling a story can really, really help. Help people see why you are the best person to sell, but also imagine themselves on that journey.
Does it need to have a hook?
Everything needs a hook in sales, but it doesn't need to be dramatic. Like everyone thinks, well, I have to be really funny to write great copy. I have to have something really amazing. I have to have been eaten by a lion for this to have any worth. No, if you're an accountant, you don't need to be funny. You need to be knowing, you need to be relatable, you need to be friendly. Maybe talk about someone who, had tax debt of 80 grand and you helped them get through that. Is that the sexiest story? No, but it's relevant to your audience. So you don't have to be sexy or funny or dramatic. You just need to be honest and real, I think. The next part is providing proof. So we're up to stage 3 now. We've solved the problem, we've explained the project in our PEPA, P-E, and now we're on to P again, P for proof. So proof is super important, yeah? And often people will dive straight to the proof part of your sales page. I have a testimonials page on my SEO course, and the reading time on that page is 17 minutes, which is unheard of, which means people are reading testimonial after testimonial. A, trying to find someone who's similar to them. I am an e-commerce business and I live in whoop whoop. Or B, trying to just get more evidence that this is worth making the right decision. You can't be afraid of showing off. No one else is going to toot your horn for you. This is where you do it. People want proof. And in terms of reviews, and people will believe reviews, what's the stat? 84% of people trust online reviews as much as friends. So that's from Jakob Nielsen. When you go on Google and you see the Google reviews, what do? You go straight to that 1-star review, don't you, and read that one first. And you see how the owner responded. But you will read through the reviews because other people's opinions matter. I can say I'm awesome till I'm blue in the face, but someone else saying it has so much more power. So reviews are important. Video reviews work really, really well. They don't need to be sexy or snazzy. You can ask your customers to just do them on their iPhone. 60 seconds is the ideal length. Who are they? What was their problem? How did you make them solve it? Ask for these reviews. Make it easy for people to do. Little Google Drive ready, set up a couple of examples. You'll be surprised how many people are willing to do a video review for you. Another great thing is case studies. Case studies sound like something hard and difficult to write, but they're really not. Again, it's like, here's Bob, this was Bob's problem, we did this for him, here's the result. It could be 300 words, it could be 200 words. It doesn't need to be some epic thing. It's just literally saying, here's a different way of showing proof. We all love a good chart with an arrow going up. We all love a testimonial, but there are many different ways into providing proof. Logos are another one as well.
Is that case study, is that something you could maybe use ChatGPT for? You could pump in the actual facts of the case and then go, write me a beautiful...
You could absolutely use ChatGPT or an amazing copywriter if you wanted to hire someone. There's lots of different ways to do it. I don't even know if you'd need to use ChatGPT. You would just literally, if I said to you, here's a client, what was the problem? One of the things I recommend for people who are struggling with writing is to use something like Otter AI. Just record themselves. So get someone to ask them the question, okay, here's this client, this was Bob, what was his problem? Well, he came to us and he had tax debt and we helped him, and what did you do for him? Well, we spoke to the tax office and arranged a payment plan. And how did he feel afterwards? Well, he felt like this. Great, you've got that transcript, you could pop that into ChatGPT or WordTune or Quillbot and say, tidy this up, make this sound more professional, correct my grammar, you know, and it's still going to be pretty good. Yeah. And then maybe go back through and just add a little bit of humanness, you know, one joke. ChatGPT is actually quite good at doing jokes as well, though. They are dad jokes, but they're pretty good. Results work really, really well. I find screen grabs of comments and things work great. So for my course, you know, I'm able to screen grab the search results. And unfortunately, all my students have now outranked me. It used to be, look at me, I'm #1 for hundreds of keywords. Now it's like, oh, look at all my students, they've outranked me for all these keywords. But that's even better proof, isn't it? Because it's saying, it's not just me and my unique skills that make this work. Anybody can achieve this. I love to just take screen grabs of Facebook, of comments, obviously with permission, and share those because they are snippets of reality. Not doctored, not edited in Word. They are what they are, full of typos. And that authenticity really is much more believable. You know, getting user-generated content, someone holding a certificate from your course, someone who's bought your product takes a shot of themselves in the product. You can't beat that. That's real content and way more believable and better than your sexy photos. You know, if I see someone wearing some leggings and it's them in their lounge room, I know what those leggings really look like rather than on a model in a white studio. So user-generated content can be a great source of proof. And then we come to the, I guess, the nub of it, the hook, the push, the salesy bit. We do need to create some urgency. I have memberships and courses, and I had a copywriting membership for many years that was just evergreen. You could join it whenever. And then for one reason or another, I shut it down and I did a launch instead. And we had maybe 200 members in the first 4 years. The next launch, we got 200 members in that launch because we'd created some urgency. It was shut, it's going to be open for a bit, and then it's going to be shut again. So urgency can be the time, limited spots, bonuses, or financial. You're getting a discount. Don't do all of them. Yeah, don't do all of them. It's limited time, there's only 3 people, and also be true. So I only take 80 people on my SEO course each round. Sometimes I get 81, and I literally have to say to the 81st person, no, because if I didn't, it would erode all the trust that I'd built up. They could go out and say, she doesn't really take 80 people, it's a big lie. So I turn down that money and hope they'll come back for the next round. Sometimes they don't, but I can't lie. You can't lie. I've been on a number of sites where it's like, this is only open for 24 hours, and you buy it, go back the next day, the timer has reset. Yeah. And then you just hate that brand, don't you? Yeah. You just hate them. Another way that you can really reassure people that they're making a good choice is to have really open guarantees, you know, money back guarantees, refund guarantees. You are so confident in your product that you are happy to offer refunds. So I have a guarantee on my course that if you are not happy in the first 2 weeks, you get all your money back. I've given that out 3 times in 5 years, and that's been because people have been sick or they signed up in a moment of panic and changed their mind. I would rather let them go and give them that refund. If you know that you can get out, you're much more likely to get in. Does that make sense? So yeah. And then finally, answer questions. I think it's really important to have FAQs on your services and sales page, even your product pages, because some people don't like reading all the copy. They just want to jump to the bottom, find the question that they need answered and get that answer. Yes, it's probably a repeat of stuff you've already said, but it's a much easier, neater way of answering that question. So it's just overcoming those final objections, you know. And then the call to action, the action. Remember we said that conversion copy was about leading people to a single goal, and that goal is to take action. We need to be careful when we're writing our buttons, you know, the little buttons. We don't want to be saying things like click here, yeah? If I find click here on your site, I'm going to hunt you down and delete your website. We're not allowed to do that. It's so 1995. Instead, try and use buttons that finish the sentence, I want to. I want to buy now. Classic e-commerce, right? I want to save my spot. I want to get started. So don't use the actual I want to bit, but your button says get started, buy now, save my spot. Really powerful, really action driving. We want to pimp our pricing. You know, if we are selling things, we have to use a bit of pricing psychology. I don't think it's dodgy to do $9.97. Yes, everyone knows they're only getting $3 off, but it does look a lot less money than $1,000. Adding a comma into your pricing makes the number look bigger. Don't do it. Include the GST in the price. That's ACC standards now. I got to change my whole site. You have to be very clear about what you're charging people, but don't be afraid of putting your pricing on your pages, because the worst thing I can find as a business owner is when I have to ring up and ask the price. I hate it, you hate it. If you don't want to put specific pricing on your site, do froms, starting from X, starting from Y, or do ballparks. At least then I know before I call that I am in the ballpark, right? I can afford this. There's nothing worse than getting in a shop and you pick something up and they're like, do you want to buy it? And you look at the price on the bottom and you're mortified that you can't afford it. Yeah. You have to kind of subtly leave the shop. Don't make people feel like that, because that gives people the icks.
Yeah.
So put pricing on your site if you can. All right, we're up to the final tips, and then we can answer all your questions. Final tips are use conversion intent modifiers. So to the great question at the beginning about what keywords you should use, add in modifiers like affordable, price, online, Australia. If you're e-commerce, it might be free shipping, free delivery, things like that. Remove distractions, so no sidebar on your sales pages, no flashing pop-ups, no things wiggling around, single-minded pages. Add social share buttons so that people can share your sales page with other people. You can get little apps that will float down the side of your page with Facebook, Twitter, whatever down the side, so that at any point on the page I can share your content. And if possible, add a live chat. There's lots of great chat bots. I use one called Zen Chat. Am I on it all day? No. If I'm not there, it just sends a little email to me and I can answer via email. But if I'm launching, or if I'm in the middle of selling, or if I know that most people buy on my site between 12 and 1, yeah, I'll be on my chat bot. A lot of people might just have a really simple question like, do you take, Apple Pay? On the page it says I do, but they just want that little reassurance, and that little interaction you have with them will get them over the line and make them feel loved. That's the human connection. So we've done it all. We've done solving the problem, explaining the product, proof the product works, and then action to purchase the product. So that's the basic chunks, the 4 chunks, the PEPA, and there we are.
Excellent.
Fantastic. And there's my little book. Yes. You're doing a sell on the book, but I'm not going to sell it. There's a QR code there if you want to check it out. It comes out on June 27th. So yeah, that's my little book.
Oh, exciting. Very exciting. We do have loads of questions.
Okay, great. Let's go for it.
Cracking with a few. So you had mentioned humour. What ways can you incorporate humour and wit into your copywriting without sacrificing effectiveness? I
don't think you should try and be slap your thigh funny. Yeah, I don't think it's about telling jokes. I think it's about knowingness. Again, I use the accountant example. If you're selling a course to accountants, you might write some things like, we know that when it's tax time, you sleep 1 hour a night and you live on coffee. That's not hilariously funny, but it's knowing. And the audience goes, yeah, wow, So I think humour is a hard one to get right. Everyone thinks they have great dress sense and a really good sense of humour, and we don't. So don't tell jokes. Just try and have a bit of lightness to the copy. Stop taking yourself so seriously. I think that's the way to approach it.
Suze asks, hi Kate, any out-of-the-box ideas for thinking up fresh blog topics that haven't already been done to death?
I think what really works these days is answering specific questions. So if you do 10 posts, 10 ways to use a tablecloth, been done to death. But if you answer a specific question about, can I put my tablecloth in the washing machine, my rubber back tablecloth in the washing machine? It's a very specific question. Yes, you're not going to... No. Well, they don't, but can you? Who knows? No. And if the answer is no, then how do you clean it? What are the best products to clean it that are not going to erode the rubber? How do you make it last for ages? How do you store it? All those are really important things if you're spending money on that product. And what that also allows you to do is come up in what Google calls featured snippets. So you'll notice if you type a question into Google, you get a little mini answer at the top sometimes, or a mini video. you can get that. And there's also a little section called People Also Ask, where other questions come up. So answering specific questions can be super helpful. Again, tools like ChatGPT, they're not bad. You know, if you say, write me 10 unusual ideas for blog posts about kittens, you know, it's going to come up with something. But the biggest thing with your content is to add the experience portion. So I can write a blog post about 10 ways to clean your tablecloth. But if I include in there, oh my God, I bought this tablecloth, it cost me $200 and I shoved it in the washing machine and it fell to bits and it was 2 minutes before my mother-in-law was arriving for a big important dinner and it was that is engaging, right? We don't want to take it too far, like the recipes where you just want the goddamn recipe and there's 8 paragraphs of guff. But I think adding in that experience is great. And don't overthink it. You know, not every piece of content you produce is going to set the world on fire. Don't think of the individual piece of content. Think about the overall effect, like wear people down, keep going. You know, that one piece of content, you might be surprised, just answers a question for one person and then they make that sale.
Emma asks, are hashtags and keywords still useful on social media?
I think keywords are always useful, keyword phrases. So, you know, Google's a search engine, but Instagram's a search engine, TikTok's a search engine. You still go in and can use the search box to find content that's relevant. But I don't think you should over-egg it and overthink it. If you're writing with focus about something you know well, you're going to use the right keywords. With hashtags, Look, I think hashtags are great for spreading. Social media is a bit different, right? You've got different metrics. Are you trying to build engagement? Are you trying to build brand loyalty? Are you trying to spread awareness? I think hashtags can be useful for spreading awareness, getting you in front of people who haven't seen you before. They're not going to build a lot of engagement probably, and they're not going to necessarily make people buy, but they do get you out to a wider audience.
Fiona asks, I would love to hear some information on how to write copy for individual products. I may can sell children's clothes and understand the benefits/advantages over features, but how would you sell the real advantages of a child's dress or how it will make a real difference to someone's life?
No, I love that question. So as I said, there's a template on the Recipe for SEO Success shop called SEO Friendly Product Descriptions, which is a paint by numbers. So maybe go and grab that. But with product descriptions, I think it's great to cover off who, what, when, why, how, right? So have those on a Post-it note. Who would wear this product? How would they feel when they're wearing it? Why would they wear it? Where would they wear it? When would they wear it? Okay. So again, if it's a little girl's dress, you know, this dress is perfect for a sunny picnic. You know, your little girl's going to feel like a princess as she runs through the field, picking flowers and daisies. Great for hot summer days and spring, you know, try and get a bit of emotion and energy. Paint a picture, exactly. How they're going to feel when she's going to feel confident, she's going to feel comfy. You know, like that's a really important thing for a little girl's dress. So often they're like restrictive. It's got pockets. I would be mentioning the pockets. Pockets are an important part of fighting the patriarchy. So, you know, dig into the emotions of how you're going to feel. Who is buying that dress? It's the mum, right? How do they want their little girl to feel wearing that dress? They don't just want her to be pretty. They want her to feel confident and comfortable and like she can jump up and down and do whatever she wants in it. So dig into that, not just talking about the beauty of the material and how well it's, you know, also what would I care? How long is this going to last? Is it going to wash well? All the boring stuff, you know, the picture will make people go, oh, that's lovely. The copy will make people go, oh, it's lovely and it's going to last the test of time. So I think that might help.
I can't believe that we've only got time for one more question.
Oh no!
Jeanette asks, desirability makes affordability, so why include the price? Please, can you clarify that more?
I think especially now, in this time of economic hardship, people are struggling. And you know, there's a big thing online that no one's buying. People are buying, but they want value and they don't want to be led down a path. As I said, I don't think there's anything more horrible than wanting something, having to make a call to find out the price of it and then realizing you can't afford it, or feeling that you're going to be sold to on the phone. why not have the pricing? If you feel that your pricing is good, it represents value, it's justifiable, and it's on market, why not share the pricing? Why hide that? So yes, desirability is important, but affordability is super important right now, and I don't think people want to be led down a garden path, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you so
No
much,
worries.
Kate. Thank you all for joining us for the Small Business Guide to Copywriting That Sells. And I hope that you've gleaned some very valuable takeaways. And I'd like to also give a shout out to my fantastic team who helped put this together and are working behind the scenes, making the magic happen. And of course, to the lovely, wonderful Kate Toon. You can find out more about Kate from her website, katetoon.com.
Yes, that's right.
And don't forget to check out her new book, which is called 6 Figures in School Hours. It's an awesome read and you should go buy it immediately.
Thank you.
And-
Good sales pitch.
And for more business news, expert advice, tips about small business, head to our website, which is kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au. Thanks again for joining me. See you later.